Usually it's a slow process in democracy for an individual. So it boils down to more or less the individual trying to educate the public around him about the issue. But we must remember that all kinds of individuals do that, both the so-called enlightened individuals and also those who are propagandists and want to do all kinds of propaganda which may be contrary to the national interest or the public interest. So in a democracy it is left to the judgment of the reader what he accepts as contributing to development and what is contrary to it. For example, in India there are states in which they do propaganda that each state is meant only for the people of that particular language or that particular culture, and that other people are like immigrants, and that goes contrary to the national ethos. And so there are always divisive tendencies like that, or there can be propaganda for casteism which creates further division in society, and that's not really development, it blocks development. Yeah. So one has to have this ability to discern ultimately what is healthy and what is not healthy. And for that I don't see any other means other than educating the children intelligently to question and to inquire while they grow up in school, and not just accept any propaganda that appears in the press. So unless we create learning, discerning minds, I don't think just propagating ideals achieves very much, because you get all kinds of ideals coming in there, and the ideals themselves divide people also. An inquiring mind, I would say a scientific temper, but applied also to social issues and religious issues and so on, and not only to doing science. The scientists have promoted inquiry, and therefore science has progressed very much. But in society we have not in general valued inquiry. We just ask children to obey and expect that since they are young and immature minds, they should just accept what they are told. But it's not as if they are told only sensible things. So often the grown-ups themselves are very ignorant, and so the child learns divisive tendencies from the adults. So it's a problem. Therefore, you can solve it only through an enlightened education. You know, it's like, if I may give an example to illustrate what I mean. If you say, I'm going to not kill an animal for my food because eventually this means that people will become non-violent and therefore the world will improve, it's too distant a goal. But if I directly feel for the suffering of that animal and I don't want that animal to be killed for my food, that's enough reason to be a vegetarian or not to kill. But when you need a global reason, then it is more philosophic. It's not coming out of any sensitivity. So if you help your neighbor because you feel for him, there is love in that. And if you are doing it for an ideal that the world will become a brotherhood or something like that, then it is not out of love that you are acting. So it is important that we grow up with love in our heart and act out of that. It is not enough to just act out of some intellectual ideals and things like that.